Hey guys, for today's video, I wanted to do something a little bit different, and I'm hoping it will be a shorter video because most of mine tend to be very long. I'm going to be sharing my top 10 mini palettes with you, and I believe that Lauren May Beauty and Kelly Gooch, and I'm sure several other people have done a video like this. I will have some linked down below. I recently did a video on if I had to cut my collection in half, and I have a lot of mini palettes, so I had even more than these. But when I was looking at my keep pile, I was like, you know, I could cut this down even more. And I was just fondly looking at these mini palettes, and I just wanted to dedicate a video to talking about my favorites and explaining why. And for all of these, the formulas, they're creamy, they're pigmented, they're easily blendable. So I don't have a ton to say about that. It's more of color stories, and I will do some swatches in here, which I know I don't do too often, but I will be doing that today. Hopefully that works out nicely. So first I'll be starting with Anastasia Denona. So I have a bunch of the minis and the full-size 5 pans, and I have several minis but no full-size 5 pans to share with you today, which makes me sad because the full-size ones are so expensive and I still really enjoy those, but if I have to get to a top 10, they don't make the cut. So let's talk about these minis. These are the more neutral ones that she has, although I don't have mini glam or mini retro. These are so stunning. So I'm gonna do the most colorful out of these four first. And that would be the mini star palette. I do not have this one in the full size. You have 3 shimmers in here and 2 mattes, which is my favorite ratio for the mini palettes because I tend to use both of the mattes in my look and then just rotate out the different shimmers. So we have Orion, Atique, Bellatrix, Earth, and Cosmo. And of course, the metallics are really what stands out to me. And it's a little awkward to swatch 5 shades, so I just did the dark brown on my thumb. But here these are. Look how insane the metallics are, and I did not rub back and forth a bunch of times, just once. And then here are these 5 shade swatch. I did grab another layer of the first 2 shades. So again, Orion, Atique, Bellatrix, Earth, and Cosmo. And next I have my newest Anastasia Denona mini palette. This is the mini bronze, and unfortunately there's only 1 metallic in here. I would have preferred at least 2 so that I can get a few looks out of it. However, these mini palettes are made to be used on their own, but also to complement the shades in their more full-size palette. And the full-size mini bronze, the mattes in there don't have as much variation in depth, so I think that these would actually go really well with a full-size palette. And I do get 1 full look out of this. I've worn it twice already. So lid, transition, crease, outer corner, and lower lash line. And it's beautiful. You guys know I love my warm neutrals. So we have Russet, Flesh, Gobi, Bronze Foil, and Tough. And no cream to powder mattes in this one or in the mini star palette, luckily, because I don't like that formula. And then again, some ugly 5-finger swatches here. Oh, these metallics. And that would be these 5 here. So starting at the top, we have Russet, Flesh, Gobi, Bronze Foil, and Tough, Tuff. Next we have the mini Biba, and I actually do not own the full size of that one, but I had to get this one for these 3 shades here. You guys know I love a good old peachy pink matte, and the metallic in this one is incredible. Unfortunately, this shade here is a cream to powder, which is not my favorite. I love this color though. I would have liked this way more if it was just a regular matte, or if they swapped probably this one out for another shimmer shade, but these 3 make it worth it. And I do wear this one, lid, transition, crease, outer corner, and lower lash line. The shades are Bruno, Izzy, Blaze Nude, Plush, and Wink. And here are the 5 shades. And I have them swatched right here. So top to bottom we have Bruno, Izzy, Blaze Nude, Flush, and Wink. And lastly, we have Mini Nude. There is no full-size nude palette. And I love this one a lot because, again, we have those 3 shimmers and 2 mattes, which is my perfect ratio. And the shimmers in here, this first one is my favorite color, Bronzage. This is in the full-size Sunset palette. Then this shade is called Quoin, Quoin, Lumino, Sienna, and Soil. Awkward swatch placement, but I just have it going down here. Bronzage, Quoin, Lumino, Sienna, and Soil. Next, I have 3 miscellaneous palettes, and this first one is kind of a surprise to me, but it is a wonderful travel palette for me, and I don't believe it's available any longer, but hopefully a lot of you were able to pick it up when it was on sale a while ago, like I did. And this is the Makeup by Mario Glam Quad in Bronzy Glam, and I love this because we have 3 shimmers and 1 matte. So you have an olive, a champagne, and a more coppery bronze, and a wonderful outer corner color. And I always just pair it with my Anastasia Birkin and Bengal for transition and crease, and these go together perfectly. This is a wonderful travel palette for me. I am able to get, I think, 3 completely different looks with those 3 shimmers on the lid, and this is just such a good formula, very pigmented and smooth, matte blends very easily. This was a really great formula. And here are the Bronzy Glam shades swatched. Next, I have one of the best drugstore palettes of all time, the Flower Beauty Desert Lights. I did just pick up the Jungle Lights palette, which looks so good for fall. It's a more colorful, wearable color palette, but I haven't used it yet. This one I have. This has some amazing neutrals. I have not used the deepest shade. You guys know I don't wear a ton of dark colors on the lid, but these other here are amazing. Again, champagne, more of a gold, more of a copper. These have a little bit more pink in them. This one's almost like a NARS Orgasm type of shade, and this one has more of like a mauve to it. Ooh, they're so pretty, and I, of course, have to use other palettes, matte shades with this. I don't mind. I have tons of singles and other palettes that I think complement these shimmers perfectly, but this is such an amazing foiled formula. A little bit more expensive for a drugstore shadow, but get it on sale. Use a coupon at Ulta. Mirage, Soul, Horizon, Red Rocks, Sahara, Terra. So here are the top 3, Mirage, Soul, and Horizon. And then the bottom 3, Red Rocks, Sahara, and Terra. And here are all 6 shades from the Flower Beauty Desert Lights palette. Next, I have a Sigma palette from 2 holidays ago. This had still been available for a while on either Macy's or Nordstrom. If it is, I will have it linked down below. Comes with a brush, so good. So in this palette, you have 4 shimmers and 2 mattes. This shimmer is not my favorite. I don't use it a ton, but this is a great transition crease color for me. Perfect outer corner shade, and then I just go between these 3 shimmers. Again, more of a champagne, a golden bronze, and a copper, which is perfect for me, and the formula of these is just incredible. And the colors in here are Tryst, Moonshine, Soiree, Campfire, Bootleg, Maverick. Here are the 4 shimmers in the palette and the 2 mattes. And here is the Sigma Rendezvous palette, and you can see that the shimmers in here are more subtle as far as like the metallic shine than these other palettes, but I do always wear a cream base under my shadows, which does punch up the color and the shine. And my last 3 palettes are surprisingly the Huda Nude Obsessions palettes. Now, I have tried several of her Obsessions, and I feel like they've gotten worse as she's come out with them. Her original ones had the same shimmer formula as these, which is a little thicker, very creamy, where when she started doing these different designs in her mini palettes, I feel like they got a lot thinner. You really have to layer them to get that pigment. And I feel like the mattes in her Obsessions can be a little stiff and dry, whereas other ones weren't. Like the Coral Obsessions palette, oh, those shimmers and even some of the mattes were pretty good in there. But these I think are nice. Now some of these, like the Light Obsessions palette, I feel like I have to kind of dig into the mattes a little bit. So let's just go light, medium, and rich. So starting with the light palette, if you have new nude, you don't necessarily need this one because it will give you the same vibes. However, I don't think that there are actually any shadow dupes. All three of these Obsessions palettes have 4 shimmers and 5 mattes. I always would love to see more shimmers, but that's not terrible. I am kind of bummed that there is a matte cream in here because for me, that's a waste of a shadow. But I understand. So here are the 4 shimmers. I think there is good versatility between the 4 of these and they're so pretty. And then we have the 5 mattes. So here are the shimmers swatched and the mattes. It's a weird angle. This lighter pink matte, I layered up like 4 times and it's still that light. So that is definitely a shade where I have to dig my brush in there. So I do wish that these mattes were a little thicker, a little more pigmented and powdery, but overall I do think that these make some really pretty looks and I do like the variety in the mattes. Then we have the medium palette. I think that this one is really pretty too. You do have some nice variety in here. So you've got a gold, a copper, more of a pink, and a purple shimmer. And here are the metallics in the medium palette. And then here are the 5 mattes in here. I actually think that these in particular are very creamy. I didn't have to dig in there when I was swatching, and I really wanted to swatch these 2 colors next to each other because I think in the pan they're looking pretty similar, but I feel like you can tell that this one's a little bit more pink and that one is a little like peachier. And then here we have the medium palette, the 4 shimmers and the 5 mattes. And lastly, we have the rich palette. I do think there's some nice variety in these shimmers as well. So this one's more red, more pink, more purple. So here are all 4 shimmers swatched. And then we have all 5 mattes, and I really didn't have to dig into these either. And these 2 are not in order in the palette. This shade comes in between them, but I wanted to swatch those 2 side by side because they look similar-ish in the palette. And then here are all the shades in the rich palette. And you can see with this darkest matte, it is like a dark purple, not a black. So guys, those are the top 10 mini palettes in my collection. I would love to hear your thoughts on these if you tried them out. I would love to know what your most favorite are. I would love to see some more colorful mini palettes because I think for a neutral lover like me, that would be a great way to go instead of a full size, full color palette because you can easily incorporate that little mini into some other neutral shadows to pull a look together to get more use out of it. I would love to see more of those in the future. And I know that Sigma actually has some more mini palettes this size that are minis of their full size palettes, a few of the full size ones, and I think those look so beautiful, but I have all the full size so I don't need them. But I think it's interesting that I'm actually more interested in some of the minis in the full size palettes because of the shades they chose, just a little bit more eye-catching. So very interesting to think about, but please share your thoughts with me on mini palettes, your favorites, your least favorites, formulas, colors, everything down below. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye guys.